You will not find even a single person in the world who does not procrastinate. Every individual human being would definitely procrastinate. Now, it's not necessary they would be procrastinating in all the areas. There would be certain areas that they would be very active, and there would be another area where they would procrastinate. In my case as well, when it comes to conducting training program, speaking in public, or facing the camera, I don't procrastinate because that is something which I enjoy. At the same time, there are other areas which I don't like doing, and that's where I procrastinate. For example, going for shopping, which I don't like at all. I would definitely say, let's keep it for tomorrow, or tomorrow, or tomorrow. So is there something wrong in procrastinating? My answer is no. As long as you can get the things done. Now, the question that you need to ask yourself, is there any specific area which you actually want to move forward, which is very important for you? And if you are procrastinating in that very specific area, then you got to work on that. Let's take an example. If you have to go to the gym, as Jim Rohn said, you can't hire somebody else to do push-ups for you. Now, in this case, you have to go. Now, you can't ask somebody else to go. You have to hit the gym, maybe in the morning, or you must be having a time schedule for the week. So there you can't procrastinate. So this video is all about how can you move forward in areas that are important for you and where you are procrastinating. Not like the shopping that I was talking about earlier. So the first thing you have to do is you got to set goals. Now, in most of my videos, you will definitely see this one step coming in. Because setting goals and achieving goals is one of the criteria if you have to be successful in your life. Whether it is your personal life or whether it is your professional life, there must be a goal. So if you have to move forward, there must be a goal. Otherwise, you don't know what is the purpose of moving forward. I often say that people, those who are depressed, people, those who do not have that sort of enthusiasm to wake up early in the morning, these are people who do not have goals. You should be having goals. Now, I'm not talking about a 5-year goal or 10-year goal or a 15-year long-term goal or a lifetime goal. I'm talking about goal in a weekly and a daily manner. Now, one thing I have always come across my students and my clients, they keep or they set goals on a daily basis. When you have goals on a daily basis, that means you are putting a lot of pressure on yourself. If you feel that you are procrastinating because you have got a lot of things, you set goals on a daily basis, however, you don't achieve or don't take steps, then you have to rethink. You have to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, rather than having a day-to-day checklist or a goal, why don't I set it on a weekly basis? Example, rather than saying that I'm going to do 50 push-ups every single day, distribute that for 1 week and say that I would be hitting the gym or I'll be working out for 4 hours in a week rather than saying 1 hour a day. When you distribute your goals on a weekly basis, it gives you the air to breathe. It gives you the relaxation. It does not put you into pressure like a pressure cooker. And that gives you the time to relax and do it. And also keep in mind, when you set your goals, don't set goals that you believe that you can't achieve. There is a system for it which is called the SMART goal, and I believe that you who are watching me, this video either live or another channel, you know what I mean. SMART. Your goal must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be attainable, achievable, actionable, it must be relevant, and it must be a risk involved in it, and there must be a time span. So, the first thing, if you want to move forward in your life, you got to set your goal. As I mentioned earlier, you don't have to set a big goal when you procrastinate in some area. So instead of saying that I'm going to do 50 push-ups a day, you just tell yourself I'm going to do 1 push-ups. Now, to do 1 push-ups, it doesn't take even a minute. Go on the floor, take 1 push-ups. And then if you can do the 2nd push-ups, that's a bonus. What about the 3rd one, and the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th? If you do 10 push-ups, you have already achieved your goal for that particular day, which is 1 push-ups, and you have attained another 9 extra bonus for you. So that way you get up and you say that I'm happy. So this is one way of making sure that you move forward. Setting your goals, clear goals, and working on your goals. That's point number 1. Let's go to point number 2. Visualize your success. Now, if I take bodybuilding as an example, then you have to visualize yourself with the muscles if you are working for the muscles. If you're working, for example, if you want to do some stretching exercise because you want to stretch your muscles, then you won't be seeing yourself as a bodybuilder with a lot of muscles. You'll rather be seeing yourself somebody who's flexible. So whatever exercise you're doing, make sure that you see the end result. Similarly applies to anything. Whether you are an actor, you see yourself on the screen. If you're a speaker, you see or you visualize yourself standing in front of your audience on the stage, or maybe a TED Talk or a Toastmasters, and doing your presentation there. So you must be able to visualize for what you are working. And this is an inspiration that I got from the book 7 Habits by Stephen Covey. He says, start with end in mind. And this is something I learned in one of the Train the Trainers program. When I was attending, the instructor asked me, when you start your training program, once you start designing your training program, how do you start? Well, we had no idea. We said they'd start from chapter number 1, chapter number 2, and so forth. So the instructor corrected us. She educated us. Never start with chapter number 1 or chapter number 2 before you are able to visualize what is the end result. So powerful. So start with end in mind, and then you move forward. So number 1 was set your goals. Number 2, you must be able to visualize the end result. Number 3, break it down. If you got a big goal, make sure that you break it down. We call it chunk it down. Because sometimes what happens, if you see a big challenge in front of you, you get hesitant and you won't take the step. So it's always nice to take the big goal and break it down. Let's take an example of conquering the Himalayas, the Everest. You don't climb or you don't conquer the Everest in one day. Rather, you break it down into different levels. You start from the base camp, then you got level 1, level 2, level 3, and that's how you move forward. So your objective for one day would not be to reach the peak, but to reach the camp number 1. Then the next day would be camp number 2, and so forth. So any goal that you have, you ask yourself, how can I break it down? Break it down in such a way that you can measure it. Example, by 4 p.m. today, I'll be finishing at least 12 questions. By 4 p.m. today, I'll make sure that I send the email. Break it down. Whatever task is there in front of you, break it down. Now let's move on to point number 4. Point number 4 is to prioritize your workload. What does that mean? If you intend to do everything because you want to showcase yourself that you are not procrastinating, and if you intend to do everything, then you won't be able to finish anything. And if you don't finish anything, then you won't be able to move forward. And if you don't move forward, nobody's going to recognize you. Therefore, ask yourself, among all the tasks which is right in front of you on your desk, on your table, or on your calendar or your desktop, which is the most important one and which is urgent? You got to ask yourself, should I do this or can I get this done by somebody else? And that's where the art of delegation comes in. This is again one topic which I am very passionate about, and I often speak about this. If you are a leader, you should not be doing all the things. You should be working on things which you are supposed to do. For example, if you want to hit the gym, then you have to go. You can't ask somebody else, or you can't pay somebody else to go and do push-ups for you. That is something that you have to do. However, if there is an email to be sent, and if it's not an email from your side, then you can ask your manager to do that. If there's a shopping, you don't have to go. You can ask your wife or your spouse to go and do the shopping for you. So you have to ask yourself, what are the things that's important? What are the things that are urgent? What are the things that I must do? What are the things that can be done by somebody else? And that's how you prioritize your task on a daily basis and a weekly basis. So we talked about setting your goals. Number 2, we spoke about breaking your goals down. And number 3, we spoke about how you can prioritize your daily workload. The next point is to establish a routine. Now, what do you mean by routine? Those who know me very well, they know that I wake up at 3:45 or 4 a.m. early in the morning. I have a lot of rituals to do in the morning. Then I make sure that I come on to my studio and start my work by 6 o'clock. It's a routine which I don't break. It has become a part of me. It is your habit that makes who you are. Who you are today is the habit. If you're fat, if you're bulky, if you are overweight, it's your habit. It is your habit that makes you the person you are. So ask yourself, what is the routine that you are following? If you keep on doing what you have always done, then you will get the same result what you have got all this year. So therefore, you must be adaptable, you must be flexible so that you can change. Let me explain that. If you have come up and if you have identified that there are certain areas that you need to develop, example, that you are procrastinating in certain areas and you are now want to do something in that very specific area, then you must be flexible. You must adapt yourself to the new change in the circumstances. You got to change yourself. If you don't change, you get the same result. And if you get the same result, there's no progress. So you got to establish a routine. It can be in the morning, afternoon, evening, depending upon how productive you are and what's the best time. It's you who decides that. Now, a routine doesn't mean that waking up early in the morning. You may not be productive early in the morning. I am productive in the morning. I am productive late at night. But there are some people who are productive late in the morning. That means around about 10 to 12 o'clock, between that. So ask yourself, what's the best time for you to be productive, very much focused, and you get the best results. So have your routine. The next point is create a schedule for yourself. A schedule can be a diary, it could be a journal, it could be a Google document, it could be a Google calendar, anything. You must schedule yourself and make sure that you do not deviate from the schedule. You got to stick on to that. You must be committed to the schedule that has been appointed for you or that has been assigned for you. If you are in a group or an organization, you must be having a calendar which is shared with your team members so they know that you are busy or you have blocked your time from, let's say, 9 o'clock till 11. That could be the time that you are doing your most important task, which is part of improving or overcoming your procrastination. The next point is blocking time. You got to block your time. Scheduling is different and blocking is different. Scheduling is saying that, okay, 9 to 10. But blocking, as you block, nobody is permitted. Maybe you block your phone, you disconnect your phone. Maybe you have to disconnect your internet. You have to switch off your computer maybe to focus on that one particular thing that you want to achieve. So set your goals, make sure you schedule your time, and then make sure that you block your time. The next point is to use a timer. This is a very good technique and I have practiced that several times. You tell to yourself, I got 1 hour to finish this particular task. All my mobile, everything is switched off, no notification, nothing. And within 1 hour time, I'm going to finish this. You keep the alarm on and then start working on your project. I'll tell you you'll finish it. That's the power of setting the time. The next point is to use productivity tools. Now, what do you mean by productivity? When we talk about productivity, there are two words you have to always remember. Number one is efficiency, and the second one is effectiveness. Now, what do you mean by that? Very simple. Doing the right thing, with the right intention, with the right resources, at the right team, with the right people to get the right results. As simple as that. So if you are able to define your productivity, you got to ask, what are the tools that I can use? This could be automated, or it could be the service of somebody else. And today, there are a lot of AI tools available which can save your time and get the result much faster and easier than you could ever imagine. Example, ChatGPT can help you if you want to write a script or draft an email. There are a lot of other tools. For example, if you want to create a video, there are tools which can help you. If you want to pick up your images or photographs or picture, there are tools available for that. So this is just one example that I mentioned. So ask yourself, what are the tools that you can use which is available that can help you achieve your goals much faster and easier. The next step is to set your deadline dates. Now this is part of the goal setting. I mentioned it's SMART goal and the letter T stands for time. You got to set a time and a date to finish or to complete or to accomplish or to achieve your task. My teacher, Les Brown, rather than calling it as a deadline date, he always announced it as a fulfillment date. That's what he likes to call it. So what is your fulfillment date? Make sure that you don't wait until the fulfillment date. Rather, you must make sure that you have planned it very well. That's where you have the 4 quadrants. You have to decide, you have to delete, you have to delegate, and you have to do. So when it comes to the delivery part, or when you have to decide to do something, deciding is planning. If you have to finish a project by the end of the week, you plan it now. You decide who is going to do what, when, so that you can complete your task by the weekend. So set a date for every task that you take. The next thing that you have to remember is to start small. If you recall, we spoke about if the goal is big, you have to break it down into smaller chunks. And now what you do, you start small. You take a small or a baby step. That's exactly what we do in our life as well. All successful people that you see today, entrepreneurs, businessmen, they didn't start big, they started small. Then you learn, you fall down, you make mistakes, and again you grow, you bounce back. That's how you grow. You got to make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Therefore, make sure that you take baby steps. Start small always. The next thing that you have to remember is to have an accountability partner. Now, why do you require an accountability partner? Some people are strong. For example, in my case, if I decide something to do, then I'm committed to do it. I know that I don't require anybody else to support me, but I can do it. I can wake up and I can work on my project or whatever it is. That doesn't mean that everyone can do that. If you think that you need a push and you believe that you can't do it yourself, you don't have the courage or the enthusiasm to do it, then you got to find out somebody who really likes your growth and your development, and especially in the area that you are procrastinating. Ask that person to keep in touch with you and check on you whether you are meeting the criteria and you are moving forward. So, you may have an accountability partner or you may not have an accountability partner as long as you are moving forward every single day. The next point to remember in order to move forward is to eliminate all distractions. What do you mean by distractions? Distraction could be anything that is coming from external. It could be noise. It could be somebody saying that you can't do it, or it could be anything else. It could be the notification that you can get on your mobile device or your computer and so forth. It could be a phone call from your friend, whatever it is, somebody inviting you for a dinner. All are distractions, including your best friends. The other part of distraction is what you tell to yourself or what you talk to yourself. The self-talk. If you keep on saying that you can't do it, then you won't be able to do it. If you keep on saying that this is not the best time, then you will never start. So ask yourself, what is that you are talking to yourself? What is the level of dialogue that you have with yourself? Distraction. So just like you go into a theater where it is soundproof, you have to soundproof yourself from all the negative thoughts, all the negative talks, and from all those negative environment, people, as well as the surroundings. The next thing to remember is to practice self-awareness. Now, what do you mean by self-awareness? Every individual in this world is blessed with a lot of talent. You have talent which I don't have, and I may be having certain skills and talents that you don't have. So you must be aware of what are your talents. You must be aware of what are your knowledge. You must be aware of what are your strengths. You must be aware of what are your skills, and then you must take that to move forward. Rather than sleeping and crying and dwelling on your weaknesses, you should focus on your strength. You should focus on your talent, your skill, your knowledge, your experience, and then you have to move forward. That will give you the motivation to move forward. That will never stop you, but it will push you so that you can move forward and achieve the goals much faster and easier than you could ever imagine. The next point that I would like to emphasize is always focus on your outcome. Never deviate from that. Just like if you are driving a car and you lose your focus while you pick up your mobile device and you start sending text message while you are driving, automatically what's going to happen? You lose your control and you go and hit somewhere else. Most of the accidents that has happened in the world, especially in the United States, the accident happened when the driver was out of focus, watching something or sending a message. So, focus and concentration is vital if you want to move forward. If you set a goal, if you want to move forward, if you want to achieve your goals, if you want to accomplish what you have set, then you got to be 100% focused. It's not about the productive time, it's about the focused time. What is that you do at that particular time? Remember I mentioned, if you're blocking 1 hour, it's not the productive time that you have blocked, but you have to focus 100% in that 1 hour. Only then you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve. The next thing that you have to remember is to set rewards. You got to enjoy every time. You have to pat yourself. I often take a break. I sometimes go and have a cup of coffee. That itself is a reward. You can say that if I am completing my task by 4 o'clock, I'll go and watch the best movie that I want to watch. Reward yourself. When you reward yourself, your subconscious mind will start working for you in favor so that you complete your task within the given period of time. Always reward yourself, even if it's a small task, even if it's a small thing that you believe that you have achieved, then reward yourself. Make sure that you write it down, that this is what I want to achieve. This is my measuring tool. Write it down by 4 o'clock, by 5 o'clock, whatever it is. Write it down, take a break, enjoy yourself. And the last point that I would like to emphasize is discipline. Discipline. That is key. Discipline is connected with your habit, and your habit is connected with who you are today. Discipline is not easy, but it will make your life easy. If you're a disciplined person, you'll definitely have patience. And that's what they teach in the forces, or what you call as military or air force or in the Navy. They teach you discipline. If you're coming from a martial background or martial art, they teach you discipline. If you take dance or the classical dance or the traditional dance, discipline. Life is discipline. The time you wake up is discipline. The time you go to sleep is discipline. The time you eat, discipline. The time you go to office, discipline. The way you dress, discipline. Complete your task, discipline. Discipline is everything. So we have covered all the points which can help you, and you have no more excuse saying that I am a procrastinator, because I have touched all the points. If you're still watching my video, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's your like and share that helps me to come up with new videos every other week. Thank you very much, and make sure you watch our next video. It's all about leadership, growth, and personal mastery.